Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Today, this House will argue against the notion that the 21st century is an Asian century. The label Asian century has been conferred because of the economic success stories and the uprising of emerging economies in recent years. But to say that we are in the Asian century denotes that Asia is fast becoming a superpower, which in itself is an assumption, and I will proceed to explain why. Because in order to become a superpower, Asia needs to first take an active role in global intervention and leadership, which it has not done so over the past decades. It has been a passive onlooker in the debate on global policy and rulemaking, as opposed to an active and constructive policy maker and initiator. Take, for instance, the intervention in Libya, led by Britain and France, carried out by NATO, says it all. There is, in fact, no NATO in Asia. And I think that for us to even imagine that superpowers such as China, Japan, and India could come together in a united coalition is hardly a position that we'll be looking at anytime soon. So to build upon the topic of coalitions, as mentioned earlier, we have political baggage between the countries, which makes it very difficult for us to establish a strong coalition in this region, such as the EU has done. With my second point being that Asia as a whole, as a region, is made up of too many disparate and diverse types of cultures and people. And because of that, we are a heterogeneous region. And because of that, it means that the economic rise of us as a region was several countries that was in itself an insular and individualistic process, rather than economic success occurring because of the support that we have given to each other as member countries of a coalition. So what I would like to argue is that Asia has a long way to go to become a true superpower of the 21st century. Because economically, we are rising fast, but socially, I believe that we are still lacking in a very strong social safety net, and this is typical of Asian countries and Asian governments. Existing government policies in Asia penalize savers through financial repression by keeping deposit rates low and paying households measly returns on savings. They also reward producers by subsidizing capital, typically through low bank lending rates. So a lot of the economic wealth that is generated by our huge pool of capital is in fact the result of the fact that we have a weak social safety net. And that the average person in Asia is saving not because of immense wealth, but because of insurance and because of the insecurity that we might not have enough in the event of an emergency. So what I would like to add on is that the lack of inadequate or low social spending and its social consequences could also play out in a very worrying trend, because what we will see is that Asia's rapid growth will also bring about a rise in social inequality, and this will in turn undermine social cohesion and stability in the region if we are not careful. So this begs the question of who will this so-called Asian century truly benefit? Is there going to be a better distribution of wealth? Or is the new Asian century leadership invested enough to push for a more equitable society? Or are we going to see the imbalance tilting the scales even further? Our response to that will determine whether this century is truly an Asian century. Lastly, what I would like to add on is that as we carry on, we will have 3 billion more affluent Asians in time to come. And the fact that Asia holds more than half of the world's population means that more than ever in the years ahead, we will be very, very, very susceptible to climate change. As it is, Asia in itself is excessively reliant on energy imports. Unless we take the lead in increasing energy efficiency, and unless we see the need for building more eco-friendly infrastructures and ventures to alleviate pressure on finite resources, Asia will find itself in a very environmentally vulnerable position in time to come if we do not watch ourselves. So with that, I will list out very vaguely that the reasons against the fact that the 21st century is not an Asian century is due to, number one, the lack of global leadership and intervention. Number two, the fact that we are a heterogeneous region. Number three, the fact that we have minimal social spending and the lack of an adequate safety net. 4, that we have social inequality as it is, and in time to come, we are going to have a rising income gap that governments across the region are going to have to deal with. And lastly, the fact that we will be, as a region, extremely vulnerable to climate change with our finite resources. Thank you.